I'm alive, and so are you. Hello, you beautiful, beautiful, bright stars, shining so lovely. Yes, I put that song back to life up there. I had somehow popped in my mind, and I think I know why. So, hello, hello for this lovely Sunday weekly message. I keep rolling no matter who shows up, doesn't show up, because why? I'm here. We're alive, and that's what I do. That's what I do. So, my lovely beings, today is about taking a leap, but we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff because I did go to the records this morning. I was supposed to do it yesterday, but I went this morning and they actually gave me a pretty decent message um, with a few little things to add in there. Uh, And I know a lot of people have been trying to contact me, via Messenger or what have you. Man, Facebook messed up my whole jam, it seems, um, with all of its changes. Uh, thanks, thanks. But I want you guys to know I didn't go anywhere. It's not like Courtney's in some dark place. Hey, Lucky. Um, I'll be transparent and I'll be sincere. Many times when we mean the word sincere, we say honest, and then the world tells us to not believe anybody after they say we're honest. It's really because we're trying to use the word sincere. So I'll be, hey, Lucky, I was going to bring you up today too. So cool that you're here. Um, uh, so instead of saying honest, say I'll be sincere with you, or transparent with you. So let me do that for a minute. I did not go into some weird dark place and oh no, where's Courtney for all of you that have been reaching out and I've just been kind of non responsive. So ever since I was a it probably started from the beginning and I just didn't know, but it became very apparent once I had to go into grade school. Um, and bless my mother for understanding and knowing. Guys, I'm always operating since I pretty much came to this planet in this life. I'm always operating at a higher conscious level. I always have been. Well, that eventually starts if I do not stay in my routine of self care, taking care of myself. That can lead into what my family always referred to as the crash. And hey, Joe, and thanks for being here. And over so it's in first grade. Let's just imagine little Courtney comes home from school and goes to sleep. I crash, I just go to sleep. And if you were not able to wake me for dinner, my family knew, okay, she's done. And it's what back in the day they used to call um, just a good old fashioned mental breakdown, right? Where the body and mind just need to sleep. Well, I am prone to needing that because I am always uncontrollably, I can't really control it, operating at a higher conscious level. So my mom would have to, in grade school, like if that were to happen, she would call me in from school the next day. And yes, guys, I'm capable of sleeping 3 to 4 days straight with very small intervals of somebody waking me up and feeding me. Yeah, that's how it can be with me. So in my adult life, as you can't really do that with jobs. You can't really do that with this and that. I practice many self care techniques. But let's say my schedule gets crazy or something throws me way off and I fall off of my self care. I will feel a crash coming. I will be aware of it. And so when Courtney goes silent for a moment, a week or so, and I'm not really responding to DMs or texts or emails or know that it's because I will always have to take care of myself first and I'm pulling back to prevent a very hard crash that I can't, if that were to happen, I literally can't be there for anyone. Um, I can knock out. A train could come through my house and I'd still be sleeping. Because my body can't support all the time if I'm not doing my care techniques, working with how I absorb the energy and this and that. I can't. My body I'll just completely shut down. So that's what Courtney was doing this past week, ladies and gentlemen. So I wasn't purposely, I'm not in a dark place. I wasn't purposely avoiding. But I wasn't away. In my adult life now, it's really a lot of shutting down the mind completely, like zoning out to really crappy teeny bopper television programs and eating popcorn and not communicating with anyone. That's how, because that's also like little Courtney comfort, Ooh, a teeny bopper show about vampires. Wow. Like little Courtney loves that stuff. So I just chill out. So that's where I've been, guys, for the most part. I've been here, but for those who have been trying to communicate, yeah, I needed to do that. And it is because I am always operating at a higher conscious level, which we're going to talk about today. And so I'm coming back to life. While I'm in and out of watching those teeny bopper shows, I'm also in and out of sleep. What I'm basically doing is I'm allowing my body to do whatever my body's going to do to help me restore. And it's also, guys, because I do take in the energy differently. And like I said, if I don't do my self-care techniques, or if I'm not projecting and releasing that energy out, which this week there will be a lot of it being released out of me, it starts to pretty much just fry me, and then I crash. So it's funny, my husband the other night went to give me a hug, and he was like, he says it every year. He forgets that he does, though. He was like, "You smell like the sun." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "No, how does someone smell like light?" And he started going into, "I really do think you absorb it differently, Courtney." I said, "Yes, I do." And so you guys know soon, probably within this next year, I'm going to have to massively start teaching people how to do the same. Absorb it and release it and hit your target with it. That'll be coming more in the fall. Because, yeah, I do absorb it differently. I do feel partly there's a small element to that is because when I was first born, I was directly under a sun lamp for 4 days straight because I had a very rare form of jaundice. So me and sunlight, we've always had an interesting relationship, but I've learned how to use it, and so do all the rest of us. Right? We need to learn that. So, hello, you beautiful beings. That's where Courtney has been. I did not disappear into the darkness. The night did not catch me into bondage. I was not there. I was getting the rest that I need, because if not, whew, yeah, if not, I definitely can't serve anybody. So you guys know I will be finishing up the Manly P. Hall stuff on Wednesdays. Over the next couple of weeks. I missed it this past week because I was in kind of service work a lot. That vastly changed my schedule. And from Manly P. Hall, we're going to go into some Edgar Casey after that on Wednesdays. The Wednesday ones are kind of random because I got to throw them in on whatever time I might have. But we are going to go into Edgar Casey. So today, I did go to the records. Whoa, Joe just came out with some question. Let's roll with it, Joe, for a moment. I've been around the Soul Tribe for many years now. Yes, you have, Joe. I'm just catching up with stuff. Hello, Miss Beautiful Chloe and Jules. Joe is here. Lucky Smith is also listening. So you guys know Lucky and I, oh man, I want to say one of the best benefits out of doing that project with Wayne is the friendship that developed between Lucky and I. It's a beautiful thing when you can grow friendships like that, and true friendships, you know. Um, he and I are talking about at least once a week doing like a Courtney and Lucky hour. You know, you guys can hear all the weird stuff that Courtney and Lucky talk about. So let me catch up with Joe real quick and see where he is, because he has to. Jules. Yeah, so Jules can understand. Yeah, I guess that would be what I kind of do. I ghost people, and it is if I get out of my routine for too long, it's actually self-protection, because if I crash, it's not good for anyone. I literally can't get up. How is it possible to prove that you have friends on the other side? Oh, thanks, Jules. Yeah, Lucky and I believe we're going to do it. Joe, kind of go with what Jules is saying. First, I think that, Joe, I'm happy you brought that question up, because Jules responded with proof to who? And we're going to be, wow, you guys are already in tune with, or aligned with today's message in a way. Yeah, Joe, you don't have to prove it to anybody. And if somebody's forcing you to, explain yourself, then that's what you really need to look at, darling. That's what you need to look at. I heard a line this morning that I had not heard in a very long time. And for some reason, it really just kind of hit me. And it was the line that if you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. It really is time to start choosing who's going to roll with us and who's not rolling with us. So, Joe, that's really the thing. Because that's somebody questioning your authority, somebody questioning your character. And if that person's doing that, that's really on what it is. It's them mirroring themselves within you. They're questioning their own authority and character via attacking you. So you don't have to justify or explain yourself to anyone. No, I agree with Jules. Jules, 100%. She's a beautiful mind, that Jules. But hey, that actually kind of can tap into what we're talking about. That's fascinating. So I did go to the records. Let's talk about the card I pulled quick, though, first. It is number 13. Oh, blessed the number 13. I love it. The frequency of coherence. Oh, number 13 is coherence, by the way. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. Yeah, this is going to be good, guys. I know why they picked this. Let me show it. Coherence. I know we've gotten this before. Some cards, because of the energies and the times right now, they're just going to keep repeating. Because they're sending us that message. And most people need repetition for it to sink in. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for the optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. Wonderful. I entitled this today, Taking a Leap. But then I really wanted to put like a little thing there that said, to where? Where are we leaping to? You want me to take a leap, Courtney? Okay. I don't know what we're talking about, but also, where am I leaping to, right? This is going to be a very kind of message all over the place. And I adore you guys. Thank you for being here. So first, they wanted me to talk about examining your strengths. And Joe, this kind of goes into what you brought up, sweetheart. in, goodness, was that last week or the week before in the weekly goal? The one that was about James Earl Jones and how he had a stutter problem, but then we know him now as Mufasa and Darth Vader, his voice, when he had a severe stuttering problem growing up. His weakness became actually his greatest strength. That's where he got his money from, was his voice. I mean, really. And so this kind of piggybacks off that a bit. They want me to talk about, this is going to be all over the place, but it is a message. And it is about taking a leap. Examining our strengths. Oftentimes, what we perceive as a weakness, or where we lack our self-confidence, where we have that little voice in our head that for some reason wants to say, doubt that, doubt that, doubt that, is actually one of our greatest strengths. And the reason why I think what Joe brought up here, you know, how do you prove to someone else? We don't need to, but what we do need to do is we need to ask others, people that care about us. First of all, people who care about us generally do care about us and know us personally. Usually family members, spouses, partners, what have you. Because they're with you more, really, they've observed you enough. Ask them. Ask them, what do you think my strengths are? And actually, Lucky, can I ask real quick, if you're still listening, can I use like what you kind of talked about with that timeline cleanse to kind of drive this home a bit? Would you mind if I use that example? I'm going to ask first. So you can just type yes. Okay, thank you, Lucky. So Lucky, a few weeks ago, did a timeline cleanse. Well, I did the timeline cleanse for Lucky. It's one of the jobs that I do. And also it's also my July sale. Hey, let me, throw it out there. July sale, timeline cleanses for 5 days only, July 27th through the 31st, 50% off. I'll put the promo code is actually in the description, because I'm starting to market it. So anyways, I did a timeline cleanse with Lucky a few weeks ago. And what timeline cleanses do is usually most people don't really understand what karma is. There are big elements to karma, these huge lessons that stare us right in the face and it's like, oh, I got to learn this one. But it's not the huge stuff that normally breaks us or messes up our psyche in doubt and confusion. It's the karmic residue from past things in our timeline cycles that are a spiral that is still playing out, still covering parts of our timeline. I go in, I clean it up, I find out what happened. We replace negative with positive and we make it all shiny and pretty so we can move forward without that karmic residue there, interfering our lives in small ways, but it's all the little things that add up, right? So I did Lucky's, and one of his things was in a previous life, he was, I don't want to say, he was mentally slow. He was mentally challenged. And during that time frame, it did not work out well for him because of that. There was others manipulated him very much so, and it came to a very bad ending. Well, because of the dying process of that, he kept telling himself as he was dying, and oftentimes it is because of tragic deaths, karmic residue. While he was dying, he was telling himself, if I wasn't so stupid, if I wasn't dumb, this wouldn't have happened. Well, now go many lives into now Lucky's current life, okay? So Lucky is not mentally slow. He is actually a very intelligent human being. But because of that karmic residue, there was always this little like voice inside of him that would say, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. I might know a lot about this one particular subject, but everything else, I'm pretty much an idiot. I don't know about that. But yet, throughout his life, people would come to him for advice, come to him for his intelligence, his wisdom. But in his head, it was a constant, I don't know anything about that. I can't help you. I can't help you. I don't know anything. Because of the karmic residue of a life previous, when as he's dying, he's saying, man, if I wasn't so stupid, if I wasn't so dumb, he implanted that into this life. And so he kind of walked around saying, I don't know. I don't know anything about that, lowering his confidence level. And there were other elements too, because usually when I do a timeline cleanse, it's usually about 3 or 4 things that I can clean up at one session. And a lot of it was about confidence and that little voice. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. That's how Lucky saw it. That's how Lucky viewed himself. Others, though, including myself, think Lucky is very intelligent. I come to Lucky for advice all the time, guys. I really do. We bounce things off of each other because that's how I see Lucky. But Lucky didn't see himself that way. Thank God we did the timeline cleanse and he's moving forth with so much more confidence and awareness, and we were able to release all that. But that's what I'm talking about here. Not so much the timeline cleanse, but the fact that other people, the mirror aspect is when we are judging someone else, we need to be pointing it back on ourselves. Because there's something about that person that if it irritates us and we're not just allowing them to be people, that means it's a reflection as to something that we need to work on. But when we need to examine our strengths, one of the best ways, Joe, I will say, because I use the word stupid here for an example. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt here. Joe, that is my least favorite word of all language, is the word stupid. And whenever I hear someone refer to themselves as that or call somebody else as that, that infuriates me. I can't even speak right now. I'm getting very frustrated. See, I'm getting very angry. It is the worst word in the human language. So if someone is talking to you like that, sweetheart, you really have to reevaluate. You set some boundaries. I'm getting very passionate. It is very much the worst insult. It is. And it does more harm than any other word. I'm getting very passionate right now. I love you, Joe. You're not stupid. You are a brilliant man. I know you're brilliant. Hell, my husband's like, Joe knows more than anybody. So I'm telling you, you got people that don't think that way about you. Oh, see, that's good. This is the message. I'm getting all sorts of emotional about that, Joe. Because, Joe, we all know how intelligent you are. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Ask other people. Ask those who do know you and listen to what you say and observe you to actually say, hey, what do you think my strengths are? Because we have to start examining them. We have to start looking at them, owning them, kind of like owning our power. But before we even get to power, there's strength. We need to know what our strengths are. And oftentimes, because of us, because of karmic residue, because of people saying stuff ridiculous to us throughout our lives, right? You know, I don't even want to say that word right now. We don't acknowledge what our strengths are. So the records very much, if anything, the first part of this weekly goal is somewhere in your week, somewhere in this next week, ask someone that you do know that cares about you, family, friend, someone that's known you also for quite a while, okay? And ask them. Don't have any expectations. Don't put any preliminary words to it like, I need to know, or blah, 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 and I think it's this. No. Just ask them, hey, I'm curious, what do you think my strengths are? And take in what they say. And if they need a moment, give them a moment, because it's kind of a big question. You know, if I ask my husband right now, he'd be like, whoa, I need a minute, Courtney. Give them a moment and let them answer and take that in, because they have seen it. They know more of what your strengths are, because our minds will confuse our strengths and fight against them, really, in a lot of ways. So please do that. Leading from that, then that can open up dialogue with you and that other person, with you and yourself. You have to start having some honest conversations with yourself about what your strengths are, kind of piggybacking off of that James Earl Jones episode. Many times our strengths appear to be weaknesses. This is what was fascinating. They want you guys to, whoever's listening to this at some point this week or whenever you're listening, please do this. They really do want people to ask someone else this week, what do you see my strengths as? And take that in. Have inner dialogue with yourself. Have dialogue with that other person. Like, especially if it's something like, whoa, why do you think that? I never once acknowledged that about myself. They're trying to get you, and this is coming from the records, the Akashic Records. This is trying to get you to acknowledge what your strengths are. Because first we got to see them. And other people see it in us. What was funny is I said, okay, do you have a story or something? Because I usually have to use some kind of, analogy or something to bring this home. And it was so adorable. They said, I think it's adorable. They said, use the story of Dumbo. And I was like, who doesn't love Dumbo? Oh my goodness, what a great story. That literally, I think, was my favorite. And I'm not going to I'm not boosting Disney right here or right now. That actually was a written story prior to Disney buying the rights. They changed it up a little bit. I'll talk about it in a moment. If you do want like the original backstory to Dumbo, I love this kid. He's actually not a kid. He's probably in his like early to mid 30s, but he looks so young to me. And he just got married. So congratulations, Jon Solo. I am a follower, subscriber of his. There's a link to his Dumbo video. He does the origins of things, and he does a lot of the origins of like Disney movies or the origins of this myth and that and this. He's just great. Love John. And I guess he has a new podcast that I'll have to subscribe to too. I use him a lot when I need like a quick, okay, what's the backstory to Dumbo? Like I don't remember. So Dumbo, a woman wrote, and I guess no one knows where the original book is, because it was back in the 30s when they started doing these it's like a rolling picture book. Like you would turn a knob and it would roll and you would read the scroll. They actually tried to come out with something again like that in the 80s. And didn't work out so well, because by the second time you scrolled it, the paper would get all jammed up and you'd end up ripping it apart anyways. It just unroll the scroll. I remember I had one. I ripped it apart. I guess that was like the only book of Dumbo, and no one knows where that is because Disney bought the rights, and supposedly Disney doesn't even know where the book is. Whatever, Disney. So the OG Dumbo is very similar. And as we know, it was springtime. All these new animal babies are being born for the circus, and it's great. And the most loved and precious and cutest of them all was Dumbo, because he's this little elephant with these huge ears. But Dumbo wasn't really growing into his ears. They just stayed very long. And they tried to put him in the show, and he would trip over his ears and cause great havoc. And then, kids started picking on him. Other animals started picking on him. And the mom, didn't take kindly to that. And she spanked those kids that were making fun of him. She gets locked up. Everything's chaos. And oh man, his ears, his weakness, supposedly, the thing that's causing all this trouble, turmoil inside, turmoil outside. So he ends up walking away because now his mom's locked up, and oh, it's so sad. Dumbo, he meets this little mouse, Red, who's like his little guide. And in the original book, that guide was like, you can probably fly with these ears because they're so big. And it wasn't like the movie that was like, hey, this white feather is magical and it'll make you fly, to trick him into you have confidence. In the book, they actually practice over and over and over. Practice makes perfect. Over and over. In the Disney movie, it's a white feather that says that was a trick. Like, hey, this will give you the confidence. You can do it if you have this feather in your nose or whatever. Well, as we all find out, Dumbo then returns to the circus. They find out he can fly. Wow, Dumbo's the biggest thing in all of life, biggest show. And he's going to do one huge one. And it's the clowns below. And he's supposed to jump off the burning building. And the first time he does it, he flies. But then there's one at the end, and it's Madison Square Garden. I think it's like the biggest show. And he gets nervous again, and he drops his white feather, hence in the movie. In the book, he just gets scared and loses his confidence. And the mouse is like, no. Okay, this white feather was just a hoax. You can do this. And in the book story, the mouse is like, no, you can do this. Just don't be afraid. Take the leap, right? And he flies off again and saves the day. And because of his success, his mother and him are in the best train car for the circus. They're on their way to Hollywood. I guess the book literally says, like, Dumbo's on his way to Hollywood. I think it was the 30s that it was written. So Hollywood was where everybody wanted to get to. But the key of the story is, even though I rehashed Dumbo there for you, which is such a great story. I love Dumbo. Little Courtney, like 3-year-old Courtney, was brought to the circus, and somehow I walked away from my folks and went behind the tent and was talking to the little baby elephant in the cage. And I was trying to figure out how to release him so I could take him home. That was little 3-year-old Courtney. Oh my goodness, yeah. Yes, there you go. From Dumbo to Rudolph. Yes, I will most likely use Rudolph at some point. But we are those stories, Joe. We are these stories, because just like how I used the example with Lucky, he never understood why people would come to him for advice, because he always told himself, I don't know anything. When all of us can see clearly, Lucky, you know what you know. You got it going on, intelligent wise, Oh, hello, Thomas. So by asking others, acknowledging, wow, that's what they see my strengths as. And it might be, that's why they had me bring up Dumbo, something that we consider our weakness, our defect, our whatever it may be. Dumbo had really big ears. Lucky was thinking the way he was because of karmic residue. Whatever it is, I'm not going to be able to project or think of what it is for each one of you. The point of this is, though, is to realize and have the confidence to start using it as the strength that it is instead of seeing it as the weakness. And the reason they wanted to bring that up and why I said take a leap is because, let's, I guess, talk about the energies right now. I always end up talking about the energies at my weekly goals. That full moon that happened, I'm going to take a sip. Oh, Jules said that she was seeing an image of Thomas just said Cornelia, 3-year-old Cornelia. Thank you, Thomas. And Jules said she saw an image of an elephant in a meditation the other day. Jules, look that up. Elephants are the most, I'm sure you already know, Jules. Elephants are my favorite animal. They are. I mean, I have a few favorites, but elephants, man. They are very, they're ancient, wise, here for humanity to teach us a lot of things. They're wonderful. That's amazing, Jules. I don't think I've ever seen an elephant in meditation. That is definitely for you, sweetie. The energies right now, this past super full moon, I keep telling everybody all of 2022, really now through to like September, and it'll trickle into October, and I'm sure everybody understands where I'm coming from with this. This time is being ruled by these super moons. Okay, this last super moon, how do I want to explain this? Well, this leads into the whole message, so yeah. Okay, so I talk a lot about the waters and neutrality, of being neutral. A lot of the waters, which is 5D. That's 5D, neutral. And we're kind of in the waters, right? Well, I did Wednesday night a very big, huge meditation with people across the globe. Across the globe. This was a huge meditation for peace for humanity becoming one across the globe. There were thousands of people involved. And in this meditation, it was very clear what's going on with the waters and very clear what's going on with these moons. Now, this is going to be a weird kind of explanation. And these teachers referred to it as this past full moon on the 13th. It's as if a seal opened up kind of with all these waters of 5D, neutral waters, that we can fill the waters with whatever we want. We're trying to, of course, the group that I'm doing all this with, the collective force, we're trying to very much infuse peace, humanity, into it, because it is 5D waters. At the same time, though, so as we're doing all this, it was very much also coming into our own power, because that's how it works. We have to individually come into our own power. We have to individually take these leaps, which I'll talk about, because it ripples out into a collective, right? So half of the meditation was of our own power, and then also what are we filling these waters with? What's interesting, though, is the seal is off of these waters right now, and we're filling it, and we're filling it. We're filling it every day. We're filling it. But the seal is going to go back on at the new moon on the 28th. Well, this is what I got during the meditation, which is fascinating. And I'm sure I'm right in line with a whole lot of other people that are participating in this. It was kind of as if, because I've been in 5D for a long time, And so you guys know the waters are also very turbulent, very difficult right now. I mean, you want to talk about some hard waves between that full moon on the 13th and the 28th new moon. The waters are very turbulent because it's not just us that are able to put energy into it. Everybody is. We're just trying to defuse and transmute the stuff that doesn't need to be there. There's a lot of people doing a lot of work on sides that people might not know of. So anyways, that seal is going to go back on the 28th. What it looked like and felt like to me, because I know that this is all going to kind of come to a head. I don't really like that term. It'll make more sense now. September into October. I mean, the full moon in September, really, but it'll keep that energy will flow into October. And it is our choice what will happen. So many people are talking about other stuff happening in September into October. It is our choice. So what I will tell you is there are thousands of people around the globe right now filling the waters of neutrality, filling the waters of all this energy of 5D. And what it felt like was that we were in the sack of creation. We were in the womb of creation, going like this in the water of, like, well, all the women here and men, I'm sure you understand. Well, when creation happens, when we give birth, that water has to break. So right now there are thousands of us in the womb of creation of 5D, filling those waters with love and peace and harmony for humanity. We need more. We need more, and this is the time that you can jump in. Come on, the seal's open. Jump right in. Come on. Because we're feeling that. And yes, in September, there will be a divine split, I will say that, of really understanding who's with us and who's not with us and who's choosing a different world opposed to those who are choosing a new world, because at that time, the water will break. And all of that can spill out onto this earth that we know of. All of this can spill out into 3D and change the cause and effect that we are in right now. It can. But it takes more of us doing that to then override all of those who are choosing the opposite. And it was funny as they were giving me this message. Everybody actually breathe that in. Breathe it in. The waters of peace, harmony, love, joy will be breaking over the land. We're just very much hoping that more jump in between now and then. So also, it was funny because I was like, I asked the records, I was like, okay, I'll bring up the energy that's at play, And hi, Mark. And I said, well, I don't know, how many people, or how, actually, I think I was also asked him about, in reference to Toth on Friday, a lot of people were asking, how do you travel to the ethereal? How do you travel that way? How do you get there? Guys, it really is vibes up. And I said that when I'm in the records getting this message, and they were some of my guards of my book. See, guards and guides are two different things. In the records, it is guards. There's actually guards over everyone's story, because your stories are very valuable to those that want to do them harm. Your stories are very valuable. So I was asking one of them, like, okay, so I got to tell everybody vibes up, and I will be over the course of the next few months. Like I said, that's actually something that I now definitely have to start teaching. And his response, I said, so what do I tell him? And one of them went, 1.21 gigawatts. And I started laughing because of Back to the Future, time travel, right? And I started laughing. I'm like, what? And then when I got out of the records, I'm like, what is a gigawatt? Is a gigawatt even a thing? Is a gigawatt even a thing? So I had to Google it. Google it. I guess a gigawatt is a thing. 1 gigawatt equals a billion watts. So as I'm preparing this and thinking about everything, I was like, oh my goodness, I think he's right. If we could get just 1 billion, 1.21 gigawatts to take the leap into the waters of neutrality, into 5D, I think we could be successful. Just 1 billion, 1.21 gigawatts. I think so. I think we can do that. I think we can be successful then. Very successful when that water breaks. So, but how do we do that? This is more of the message. I love you guys. How are you doing? Oh no, Joe. It would not be cheating, my darling. Joe just asked, Courtney, would it be considered cheating that I knew since early childhood that this split of the worlds would come? No, darling. The reason I say that, Joe, is I'm right there with you, man. So I'm not cheating. There's reasons why certain of us do know things. We're here to help others. And Joe, every time you jump on the line when you're on a show or you're in a chat and you speak of stuff, when you share your knowledge, Joe, you actually do a lot of impact. That's why my husband has always been like Joe Spina. I said it right. Joe Spina. He's always been like, that guy is well above knowledge and understanding and wisdom than most other people. When you talk, Joe, my husband listens. So that's not cheating, darling. There's reasons why you knew that. Oh, good question. Mark just asked, how many watts do we each generate? That's a very good question. You can actually grow in that, and you can see it as bandwidth. Here we go, Mark. Actually, that I'm going to start talking about that as for the next part of this message. So cool. We're all kind of on the same track. And Joe, you are amazing and beautiful, and keep shining, darling. I don't know who's putting questions of your power in your head, because I don't think it's from you, darling. Yeah, Joe, it might be time to reevaluate your circle. Okay? Which you're not alone. You're not alone, darling. Okay, so Mark, I'm going to get to you, babe. I said take a leap. That's what this is named, right? Take a leap to where? Now I'm saying, guys, leap into the waters of neutrality. 5D. Come help us. Be a part of the, hopefully, billion. Because I do believe, and if I remember correctly, I think others that I've communicated through this, they're saying the same thing. If we can get just 1 billion, we can change the cause and effect of all of this, right? Well, let's look at frequencies. Let's look at levels of consciousness. In an episode a few weeks back, I did one, I believe, a weekly goal on pride versus courage. And if you look at the levels of consciousness, or hence also the levels of frequency, some vary, depending on what you look at, right? Pride, and I'm going off of one that I glanced at today. I wish I could screen share, but I can't yet. I need more subscribers. So you all hit that like button, share it out to your friends and family, those who might resonate, so I can actually start screen sharing this stuff. This was off of a level, I think it was a level of consciousness chart. Pride is at like 175 frequency. And it's interesting because there's pride, and then right after that is courage. We confuse pride a lot because there's false pride. The ego gets involved, all sorts of things. But if we have healthy pride in ourselves, asking others what our strengths are and acknowledging them, and working through any insecurities that might be present, then it goes to courage, taking a wonderful leap, having the courage to take the leap. Courage is at 200 frequency. You guys want to know what's next? Neutrality. Neutrality is at 250. Pride, courage, neutrality. And that's all I'm asking you to do this week, is to really look, ask somebody, what are my strengths? Because they're going to tell you stuff, and if they see it, you really have strength there. And so if you're knocking yourself off your own square, your own block, get back on it. Have pride within those strengths. Find the courage, make the leap to neutrality, that is 250 frequency, which also represents trust. Because from neutrality is the willingness. That's the next level, 300, which is optimism, hope. Then into something I talk about a lot, and I think it just does not resonate as much as it should with people. From neutrality into willingness, hope, optimism, putting that into the waters of neutrality of creation. In that, though, the next level on the level of consciousness is acceptance, which is 350 frequency, forgiveness. And I'm going to keep going here for a moment, but I do want to stop for a moment, because once you get into 5D and you're not really toying around anymore with yes, you will kind of sway in and out of 3D and 5D. That is the human experience. 4D is just a conscious. It's just awakenings. It's just awareness. It's just that. That's why I'm asking you to become aware of your strengths and accept them and love them, even if you've been telling yourself they're weaknesses the whole time. Because once you actually really start working in the 5D and being present in the 5D and having the willingness, the hope, and the optimism of staying in 5D, no matter how choppy these waters get, the acceptance of all and being able to forgive all, yourself first, others, and allowing people, places, and things to be who and what they are, because it is what it is. The power, the love in that, the amazing gift of that is really what I hope right now for humanity. So Courtney says a lot of acceptance all the time, the power of acceptance. Because there is forgiveness there, and it's a higher level of consciousness. But I think it goes over people's ears, maybe not those that are here, but it does. And it's because we have to get to the waters of neutrality and really swim in them more than not. have that hope and optimism of willingness into acceptance and forgiveness. And as we move up, then you're able to sustain the frequency of love. And so, Mark, to answer your question, the frequency of love, of your flame, and there's even more after that. But when you start actually working in this, and we have to get to that 5D, that's where your bandwidth lies. Your bandwidth lies within all these different frequency levels. Let's say you guys decide to take this advice this week from the Akashic Records, learn what your strengths are, and go, wow, I accept those. I actually, yes, I'm gonna release all that negative talk, all those horrible negative ants in my head about that, and I'm going to accept that other people see that as my strength, and I'm going to start working with it and not against it. And then you got the courage to jump into the neutrality of 5D, because it's really pride, courage, jump into neutrality. And then you have the willingness and the optimism of hope there. If you guys can do that, your bandwidth has already grown tremendously. When I was at that level, my bandwidth was, let's say, 300, 600, and now I'm headed into the thousands. And if you get to the thousands, when we think about that, how do we reach people? How do we do this frequency-wise? How do we, once you get to the thousands, there is no limit, because you're on your way to the frequency of love. You're on your way, pure love. You're on your way up the rung. And once you are at that pure love, and there are a couple ahead of that, but let's just stay where we're at, guys. There's no going back now. And your frequency is, you are expanding, you're touching thousands of people's lives when you don't even know it, because that is your bandwidth of the frequency. So let's get, guys, willingness and optimism in the waters of neutrality, in the womb of creation right now. That's 300. That's what I'm asking you guys to do. Yeah. Oh, sounds easy, Courtney, right? It sounds easy. I'm trying to make it easy for you. I'm trying to lay it out. I am. Because Joe, you just asked a great question. What's the difference between neutrality versus not giving an F? Because with not giving an F, you still give an F. That is, somebody told me at a young age, the best prayer is just going, I just don't effing know, or I don't give an F, like that give up point. That is surrender. That's a give up point. Surrendering is perfect. You can surrender, but it's not the same as neutrality. It is not. It is, when you're done, you're done. Neutrality has peace to it. Neutrality sees how all is all, and all is okay, and all is fine, because there's peace to it. So surrender and give, and so it's kind of, when you say not giving F, that's a half surrendering, half giving up. But that's a good spot. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. I like it. Keep going. So, yeah. Oh, I like that. And it's not even, there's like Joe, I love what you're saying here, by the way. Joe said, there's that quote of, oh, well, whatever happens, happens. Once again, sweetie, we're identifying our powers, our strengths here. And with sayings like, well, whatever happens, happens, is not the same as it is what it is. Sayings like, oh, well, whatever happens, happens, that's got somewhat of a defeatist connotation to it. Saying it is what it is has an acceptance to it. That's the difference. So let's just start changing our dialogue. That's really where it starts, is because of the power of the word. Oh my goodness, did I get to everything, guys? I'm I'm kind of thinking so. I want to make sure that I did get to everything they wanted me to say. So that is our weekly goal, everybody, and I'm at that hour. Is there any more questions, real quick? Yeah, bandwidth and watts are different, Mark. I speak of it in bandwidth as in your energy, watts, frequency. Vibrations are actually not the same term as frequency. Let's say frequency. We can also use watts because it's all energy. That's what you can project out of you when you are starting to work in these different levels of consciousness. Bandwidth means how many people is it affecting? How many people's lives is it touching? And that's really what this is all about now, isn't it? To help humanity. We're trying to touch other people's lives in a positive way, but it starts with us having the watts, frequency, energy within us already. So that's the difference, Mark. Yeah, different. Okay, so everybody, we went from ask other people about your strengths, really acknowledge them, work through the insecurities we might have had around our strengths. You can do 50% off of a timeline cleanse to cleanse away a lot of karmic residue. I'm doing that 5-day sale at the end of July, 50% off. The promo code is in the description. Identify them, start working with them, not against them. Even if you don't fully understand them, start working with them, not against them. Think of it as like Dumbo. Practice, 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 or even believing a feather gives you courage, however you get there. Into the whole point of this is going from acknowledging that, getting the pride within our strengths that we always saw as weakness, to get to the courage. From courage, take that leap into the waters of neutrality and help all the rest of us with willingness, optimism, hope while you're there, pouring peace into these waters. Because the more time you spend in those, the more it is you're capable of getting to full power of acceptance, forgiveness, allowing others to be who they are, seeing the world it is as it is, because all is all. And when when those waters of that womb of creation breaks in September, you will be able to know you did all that you could with what we have going on right now to help humanity evolve to a higher level. Because it starts with self. Let's look at the card one more time. Number 13, coherence. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for the optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. All is welcomed. All is all. You guys are actually pretty much already there with me. We need you to acknowledge it, right? So, I love you guys. Like I said, this week I will be finishing, or I'll be doing more of the Manly P. Hall because I missed it last week. From Manly P. Hall on Wednesdays, we're going to move into some Edgar Casey. Friday, with Emerald Tablets Revealed, we go into Tablet 5, The Dweller of Unal. Oh, guys, yeah, I might not be able to control myself and be busting out with information all over the place with that one. I don't think I'll be able to reel that in because the Dweller is a very interesting subject. Remember, you are a space-born. You are stars. That flame within you. Tap into it. The heart and mind frequency as one, harmonized for optimal creation of reality. I love you all so much. Be that star. Ask one of your loved ones this week, what are my strengths? And allow them to deliver that message to you. I love you guys. See you later. Namaste.